Relationship advice. Update. I found out my 31 male, ex-wife 27 female, cheated on me while she was pregnant. Now she says I'm emotionally manipulative because I'm cold and distant during custody switches. Original story. I, 31 male, found out my now ex-wife 27 female had been cheating on me last year when she was 6 months pregnant, and the affairs happened before and during the pregnancy. She had reasons and excuses and didn't want to get a divorce. Says she wanted to stay together and do couples therapy. I just told her to go ahead and get therapy, but cheating was a deal breaker for me, so we got a divorce. The house was mine before we got married, so she moved back in with her parents, who had enough room to set up a nursery and give my ex the guest room. We agreed to an even 50-50 split custody. My wife has our daughter Sunday to Wednesday, and the original plan was for her to drop her off at daycare on Wednesday morning. Then my nanny picked her up around noon and brought her back to my house, where my daughter would stay with me until Saturday night or Sunday morning, depending on what worked best for everyone. Then my ex said she thought the daycare was misplacing some things she was sending in for her to bring to my house, because a few times our daughter came home short some bottles or without her binky. So ex said she wanted to drop our daughter off at our house directly to make sure all of her things get to me. She started picking her up from daycare on her breaks and dropping her off here. I work from home Wednesdays and Fridays. Even so, I'm working. When ex began dropping off Nadine at my house, it was normally about 12:30. My daughter's nanny, nice old lady from Barbados, not sure of her age, but I'd say late 50s to 60s, was the one to answer the door for my ex and take my daughter and her things since I was in my office working. Now, ex began saying she wanted to speak to me directly when she dropped off. She said she felt like she was unloading a lot on the nanny and didn't want her to forget to tell me anything. I would be lying if I said I didn't still have some resentment and anger towards my ex. I don't want my daughter to see that though, so when I talk to my ex, I try to be as emotionally even as possible. Just talk about the things that pertain to my daughter and no more. At today's drop-off, Nadine had a dirty diaper, so her nanny took her upstairs to change her. My ex asked me how I was doing, and I told her I was fine, thank you, and then began to walk back to my office. She sees herself out because she used to live there. As I was walking away, she says, "You know, I'm getting really sick of your crap." I didn't even get a chance to ask her what she was talking about when she just started freaking out, saying I was emotionally manipulating her by being cold and distant, that she shouldn't be punished forever for her mistakes, and how me hating her is the same as me hating my daughter. I let her finish yelling and then told her to leave. I think my best bet is to go no contact with her again and not see her for drop-offs anymore. But I was looking for some other perspectives or opinions on the matter if you might have them. Edit. I got a paternity test once I found out she cheated. My daughter is mine. Now for the top advice before reading the update. I don't know how no contact would work with even sharing of your daughter's time. Definitely as little contact as possible. Continue being a stonewall. You could say, you and I don't need to have an emotional connection. All we do is handle business with our daughter. Yeah, I mean, no contact aside from things that I have to do with our daughter. There is a free online program called Talking Parents, talkingparents.com. Courts utilize it in contentious family law cases. It's essentially an email chain. The benefits are, the time the message is sent is recorded. The time the message is seen is recorded. And messages cannot be edited or deleted. If your ex's excuse for modifying your parenting plan is that she wants to talk to you about your daughter, this is the solution. In the event you need to defend yourself / protect your reputation / protect your daughter, you just press print. Note, she isn't coming to your house to talk to you about your daughter. She wants to stop feeling like the bad guy, either by getting your forgiveness or provoking you into an emotional response, etc. You haven't taken the bait yet. Good on ya. Keep that up. It appears that your ex is hoping for reconciliation, trying to find ways to see you. Since that's not an option for you, returning to no contact is best. You'll need to get over her betrayal enough that you can be in the same room with her for your daughter's sake, but nothing more is required. I can still be in the same room and be cordial to her. I just don't want to make small talk and be friends. I don't understand what the problem is. You got divorced. You are under no obligation to be anything but cold and distant towards her, unless you change your mind about it. You just don't have to treat her in an active, bad way. or in any way leading her to legally accuse you of any wrongdoing. And that's it. It's quite simple. My worry here would be her starting to lie and tell people you're being emotionally abusive or mistreating your daughter because you don't want a relationship with her outside co-parenting. Yes, that's what I'm worried about too. I want to keep things as civil as possible. And now for the update. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who took the time to comment their support, sympathies, and advice. I didn't get a chance to respond to all the comments, but I read and appreciate them all. There were so many great suggestions. Someone suggested a website called Talking Parents, which I believe is going to be a great resource for my ex-wife and I. The thing I need to keep reminding myself is that in 5 or 10 years, the negative and betrayed feelings I have for my ex-wife will most likely fade, but a hostile relationship between the two of us will impact our daughter forever. Because of this, I sat down my ex-wife and had a recorded conversation about our situation. I was very open and honest with her. I told her that I still had negative feelings towards her as my ex-wife, but as the mother of my child, I would always treat her civilly and respectfully, but we had to have boundaries. I told her that we are going back to the original plan, where she drops her off at the daycare Wednesday mornings, and my nanny picks her up in the afternoon. We're going to communicate through the website which items should be sent home with her, so the nanny can double-check to make sure she has everything. My ex-wife isn't happy. I think she was coming to my house in hopes of reconciliation, but I told her respectfully, but in no uncertain terms, that it was never going to happen. But I would love to evolve our relationship as awesome co-parents to an amazing little girl, and maybe one day, friends. Again, thank you to everyone who took the time to reply to my post. This community has been a wonderful resource for me. I hope you all have a wonderful night. You're a stand-up guy. I think you handled that like a legend. Not only a stand-up guy, but an awesome dad. Thank you very much, I appreciate that. Your self-discipline and dedication to your daughter are commendable. She says you're cold and distant. Why should you care? Wish you the best, bro. Thank you very much. I honestly don't care about her opinion, but as the mother of the person I love more than anything else, I know keeping her somewhat pacified is what's best for our daughter. That's an incredibly difficult perspective to arrive at, and you have my, and clearly many others, respect for doing so. Stepping past your own hurt for the good of your child will make a bigger impact on the quality of both your lives than you can imagine now. While you have made healthy, mature, responsible choices here with respect to your daughter, please don't forget to put time and energy into helping yourself feel better when you can. That too will make you the best father you can be. That sort of delusion doesn't go away overnight. Expect her to weaponize the kid. That's why I'm trying to cover all of my bases. Staying civil and recording all communication. Yes, this. But you're doing all the right things. Don't let up at all. She's immature and vindictive. She's pissed you walked away with your head held high. Be aware, the chances are high she's going to smear you to everyone who'll listen. Also, pay attention to signs of parental alienation when the baby is old enough to understand. Your ex is petty and embarrassed that she messed up a good thing with you. Could you imagine going from being a married woman to being an ex-wife, now living in a guest room in their parents' house? It's easier to blame you than face your crap. Be accountable and responsible. Keep up the great work. Next story is titled, How do I sack my bridesmaid and end our friendship after her constant inappropriate behavior towards my fiancé? I, 32 female, have a friend who we'll call Penny. I met Penny, 36 female, at work about 3 years ago. We quickly hit it off and became good friends. I was supposed to be getting married January this year, but obviously because of the pandemic, it didn't go ahead. It's now going ahead next January, and Penny is one of my bridesmaids. The problem is, I've seriously gone off Penny over the last year. I'm pretty sure she's a narcissist, and boy is she increasingly unpleasant to be around. She needs attention constantly, and I mean constantly. She makes absolutely everything about her, including my bachelorette party. She's a huge show-off. She gloats. She's competitive. The list goes on. She has insisted on taking over from my maid of honor and organizing my bachelorette, and has told her I have demanded things when I haven't because she wants them. However, the main issue is that she acts totally inappropriately towards my fiancé. We both spent some time with her this weekend, and the list of inappropriate comments, touching, and just general behavior is endless. It makes my fiancé feel uncomfortable, and obviously makes me feel angry and upset that she clearly thinks this is okay. She gets bear us to be affectionate towards each other, and she tries to get in between us when we do, by trying to physically push her way and saying she wants a hug because she's happy for us. My fiancé had to tell her to stop. She tried to play footsie with him underneath the table, leaned across and stroked his face and told him she's missed him. The two have met a handful of times, and my fiancé is very quiet and reserved, so they haven't really spoken much, and my fiancé would not consider her a friend. Trying to hug him, the list goes on. The first time she met my fiancé, she texts me as soon as we got home saying, "Don't worry, I don't fancy him," which I thought was very strange. She then added him on Snapchat and told me, "If you're wondering what the Snapchat I've sent to him is, don't worry, it's just a normal selfie with my daughter." I said to her, "Why would I wonder what you've sent him?" And she didn't respond. Very bizarre. The second time she met him, he came to pick me up from Penny's house. The second she heard his car pull up in the driveway, she physically pushed me out of the way, ran to his car, flung the door open, and literally jumped on him and hugged and kissed him. I was so confused. This continuing behavior, coupled with her constant need for attention and validation, is really wearing me down. We're both sick of it, and I find it really disrespectful. I have no idea how to broach this with her, as I am really terrible at confrontation. And to be quite honest, the thought terrifies me. We also have quite a few friends in common, and I'm worried they will side with her and think I'm overreacting. Please help me figure out how to sort this. As I mentioned, I work with her, so I don't want things to get too awkward. I am also quite confident that she will gaslight me and say it's just the way she is with everyone, and my fiancé is one of her best friends, etc. This is definitely not true. At the heart of all this is one issue. You and your fiancé have a person in your sphere of friends that make you both uncomfortable because of her actions. That's as simple as that. No one else gets to say who the two of you include in your wedding party. Secondly, if you and your fiancé are firm in your beliefs and accurate in your examples, ask yourself this. Are people who won't support our decisions, which are grounded in reality and based on true events, really our friends? That's a nice way of saying, if they choose her, you really do come out ahead in this matter. The answer for you is to nip this in the bud and just tell her directly her behavior is off-putting and inappropriate. And as a result, you can't be friends with her. This isn't a negotiation. There's no reason to give her an audience. You and your future spouse don't want her around you. This isn't a negotiation. There's no reason to give her an audience. I second this statement. No negotiation or giving or receiving of explanations are necessary. Imagine how she'll act at your wedding. I wouldn't put it past her to object during the ceremony and then claim she was just joking. At your reception, she'll insist on dancing with your fiancé, and then she'll try to kiss him again to congratulate him. She knows exactly what she's doing. She is not your friend. Tell her that her behavior has made you and your fiancé very uncomfortable, and she's no longer welcome at your wedding and you need space from her. Don't hang out with her anymore because she's escalating, and one of these days she might go even further. She'll cry and try to guilt you. She'll beg your fiancé to intervene. She'll rant about you to your friends. But she's trying to steal your fiancé. You have to stand up for yourself and your marriage. If she won't listen to you, your fiancé may have to be the one to tell her to back the hell off. God. That reminds me of the OP whose fiancé has a friend object during their Catholic wedding, which forced the priest to call it off. They were specifically told not to do it for that reason, but the fiancé and friend thought it'd be funny. Everyone got mad at the OP because she was pissed and was reconsidering her marriage. Sounds like this lady would love to do the same thing. Now for the last story. I, 23 male, turned down a friend who asked me out, 24 female, because she wasn't there for me in the past. This is causing issues and I don't know how to proceed. A few years ago, I was in a relationship which was highly toxic, but I didn't realize it until near the end. I was emotionally mistreated, gaslighted, occasionally slapped/hit, and a few times my ex-partner forced herself on me. I didn't realize it for what it was at the time. I assumed because she got me ready, I must have wanted it, among other excuses. But I eventually realized how messed up it was and looked for help. One of the people I first went to for help was a friend of mine, Jenny, not her real name. Jenny and I went to the same university, and she volunteered for some groups on campus that helped to educate people about bad relationships, how to identify horrible traits, and so on. These events were only really attended by women at the time. I tagged along to some of these to help out because I thought it was a cool thing she was doing, and this is how I figured out that I was in a horrible relationship at the time. Jenny had been talking to a few other girls just to support them through their own issues, so I went to her to ask for help, after I realized that I needed to get away from my ex. I told her what was going on, but she didn't really help. At first I got the feeling that she didn't exactly believe me, but eventually she said something along the lines of, "I'm sorry, but I'm really only helping out other girls. It's a much bigger issue and I need to focus on that." At the time, I was really hurt because I thought we were pretty close friends, and it felt like she basically ditched me, but I don't know. She sent me a few links for organizations to talk to, but basically refused to discuss it any further with me. I found help elsewhere and got over it, and we remained friends through that. It was strained at the start, but now things are mostly back to normal. The issue is, a week ago she asked me out. Turns out she's had a crush on me for a little while, and after her most recent breakup, short-term relationship, she decided she would confess, I guess. While I'm happy being her friend, I don't think I could ever see her in a romantic light. I asked her for help and she basically shut me out, and that just makes me feel like I could never be emotionally intimate with her. After I rejected her, she wanted to know why. I dodged the question for a bit, but eventually told her and she basically went, "Really? That's why?" and seemed sort of offended. Now she's acting cold to me, and some of our mutual friends have also been giving me weird looks. Some of my other friends, including two who helped me through my last relationship when Jenny didn't, have been really supportive though, thankfully. How am I meant to navigate this now? I just want things to go back to normal and forget about it, since it's bringing back some pretty and pleasant memories. It'd be fine if everyone just forgot about it, but judging by how Jenny and some of our other friends are reacting, it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. Now for the advice. You turned her down for a legitimate reason. And if she reacts negatively to it, and she convinces her friends to react negatively to it, doesn't that prove your decision correct? I think you're right, yeah. I just want to brush it aside since I don't want to deal with any confrontation or bring anything up again. But you're right. Thanks. 1. She ignored you when you reached out for help regarding your relationship. 2. She refused to take no for an answer when you rejected her and pushed for a reason. 3. She's now talking crap behind your back. Opie, you didn't just dodge a bullet. You dodged a whole freaking howitzer. Hold your head up high, you legend. Your reason for turning her down is totally legitimate. But here's the thing. No matter the reason you turned her down, she isn't entitled to a date with you. You said no, and that's all she deserved. It seems Jenny would be just as toxic as your ex. Perhaps this isn't a friendship worth saving. I'd remove the perhaps. It's not a friendship worth saving. Let that friendship die. Because she's probably just as toxic if she couldn't understand your reasoning for saying no. And your other friends, explain to them what's happened, and if they don't accept it, then throw them away too. You were mistreated, and she refused to help you, even though you were in the same situation as the females she was helping. That's messed up, and you don't need a friend like that. That seems like a perfectly legitimate reason to say no. She volunteered at a thing to help people in these kinds of relationships, and when you asked for help, she told you that she wasn't interested in helping you? How could you feel secure with someone who didn't have your back when you needed them? It's probably not going to go back to normal. Maybe she's embarrassed that you shut her down. Maybe she's kicking herself for not helping you when she had a chance. It doesn't matter in the end. Either talk to the mutual friends and find out what she said, or find some other friends. That's exactly how I feel, yeah. I don't think I'll talk to the friends. I don't want to. If they want to know what's happening and ask me, I'll explain it. But I don't really feel up to reaching out and having to explain myself. since they'll inevitably end up in telling people what happened. Thank you. Wife and I decided to try for kids last year. Found out I'm completely infertile without surgery. 5 months later, she got pregnant. Original post. My wife, 33 female, and I, 34 male, have been married for 3 years, together for 6. She's always been one of the most amazing people I've ever met. No huge fights, love languages match up, and we're both fairly active people, which has been why we've always had a really strong relationship for so long. That's why this is so difficult for me. We've both been doing pretty well in our careers the last few years. She's in marketing, and I work independently as an IT consultant, allowing me to set my own hours and be pretty flexible. We decided last year that we wanted to start a family, her most likely keeping her job full-time, and me scaling back to part-time. We've both been anxious but pretty excited to have our own kids. Long story short, I was diagnosed with azoospermia last December. A blockage in the pipes just meant I wasn't actually producing any sperm when ejaculating. It's curable with surgery, thankfully, and we finally got it scheduled this July. She's got a high libido, as do I, so we've still been very sexually active, but there should have been no way I could have gotten her pregnant. She missed her period this week. I couldn't imagine that she might actually be pregnant, right? The babies are bottled in until they get the blockage out. She took 3 tests though, and sure enough, they're all positive. At first I was stunned because this shouldn't be possible. She's never been unfaithful to me in the past and never given me a reason not to trust her. I'm not the jealous type, but I'm literally stuck. The doctor said this couldn't happen. And I can't believe my wife would jeopardize the future we've been so excited for over some fling, when we seem to have such a great emotional and physical connection. My wife's been ecstatic. She's given no indication of any guilt or worry that she may have cheated. She was so excited when she first found out that I didn't express my worries then. But she left for work and now I feel completely torn. What if she did cheat? Looking back now, there are a few tiny things that didn't seem to be an issue, but now have me racking my brain for clues. Her job often has her taking clients out for dinner, and it's not uncommon for her to get back later in the evening. She definitely had a busy last few months, but that's not uncommon for her job. She always wears one of the same 2 perfumes. But she came back one night smelling completely different. I remember seeing a text message on her lock screen of just a winky face, a different time, but assumed it was one of her girlfriends. Man, I don't know what to do. I set up an appointment on Monday to see if there's any chance it could be mine. If it is mine and I accuse her of cheating, I feel like the world's biggest a-hole. But she's coming home in a few hours, and I don't know what I'm going to say to her. I can't stop thinking of these small things that may have been her cheating, and I just didn't see it. Do I wait until the doctor appointment Monday before talking to her, or do I bring up these insecurities while she's celebrating the pregnancy? I'm worried I won't be able to hide what's going on. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. I'd say you should wait for the appointment. Biology can surprise us sometimes, but prepare for the worst-case scenario. Should I take her with me to it? I'm weighing the choices between that and going alone. I'm going to have to bring it up anyways. There's no way I can hide this when she gets back. Don't bring her with you. You don't know what the doctor might say. If the news is good, congratulations, my man. If the news is bad, just take some air and be as calm as possible. She knows you're blocked up, yes? If so, her reaction doesn't make a damn bit of sense for cheating. Doesn't make sense for some weird surprise in vitro either, since in a month you're gonna be filling homegirl's oven with enough baby batter to get the lily fella cooking yourself. Occam's razor is her cheating, but I've got a suspicion this is a medical mystery, not a matter of fidelity. She definitely knows. Yeah, I agree. That's why this is so difficult to know how to feel. I don't know if my instinct is trying to tell me something, or I'm just overreacting since I've been cheated on before. Edit/mini update. I should add it I've been cheated on before. Our relationship has been pretty healthy, but that old fear is creeping back in now. I'm not sure how to just wait until the appointment. I really hope y'all are right that some freak sperm made it past. My wife's coming home though in an hour, and I have to decide if I'm going to put on a happy face until Monday or not. She texted saying she's going to be home late. This is bringing up some old emotional scars, I think, and it's just messing with me. I'm usually never this insecure or uncertain about being straightforward. I think I need to just find some way to bring it up without being accusatory. Now for the first update. First, I just want to thank everyone who reached out and offered their story about similar situations. I can't believe how many people are told they're completely sterile and end up being able to have kids anyway. I took a lot of what you guys said to heart. I had an ex from years ago who ended up cheating on me, and it really left a scar for a while. It wasn't until I got more involved with sports and getting in better shape that I was able to try and move on. My wife and I actually met in a soccer league we were in together. We've had so much trust for so long that I thought those fears had gone away. It wasn't until now that I really started to feel shaken like that again. But I didn't want to let my past get in the way of what could be just a huge blessing. A few people really articulated the right way to communicate my feelings in a way that wasn't accusatory and respectful of my wife, who's never given me a reason to doubt her. It's not uncommon for her to sometimes be home late, and she'll usually like to go straight to bed. I didn't want to dump this on her immediately and decided to give myself a night to sleep on it. I got up pretty early, just being restless, went for a run, and cleared my mind. I couldn't wait any longer. I made our favorite omelets and told her I needed to talk about something. You know I'm not Ashley, right? She knows me well. Ashley's my ex who cheated. So first I apologized. I apologized because I let this build up in my head for so long without talking with her about it sooner. What should be a blessing has been nothing but insecurity and fear for me. We talked for a while. I told her how happy it made me to see her ecstatic and excited for the baby. I told her how much I loved the relationship that we've built together, and I felt like an a-hole for questioning her loyalty. She had never given me a reason not to trust her, and I still couldn't emotionally get over the thoughts of infidelity because of my ex. She thanked me for telling her, and she knew how hard it was for me to get over that. She volunteered to have us get a paternity test right when he or she is born, which made me feel a lot better at first. But something still felt off. I honestly don't know why. Something about how she was so eager to get a paternity test and almost not mad at all for having kept this from her. Normally, she would have been upset that I didn't bring it up right away, but there was just a weird feeling I couldn't shake for the rest of the day. It seemed like she was saying all the right things, but I couldn't get rid of this clawing feeling inside my head. Maybe I'm just being paranoid? Maybe there's a gut feeling I need to listen to. But I ended up going to the appointment alone, as we decided it would be good to see if I still needed the surgery. Turns out it's obstructive azoospermia. I've read so many stories about people who were supposed to be infertile ending up getting pregnant. So I brought that up, and how my wife's pregnancy was affecting me. The urologist thought it would be pretty unlikely that I wouldn't need surgery to have a kid with how mine was presenting itself. He mainly tried to skirt around the topic and mostly pushed me toward making sure she was actually pregnant. Being there didn't really help. I feel like I just got more uncertainty. She had another night being out until 8:30 last night. We talked about scheduling an appointment to verify the pregnancy when she got home. She seemed a little confused, but then quickly agreed. She promised to do it in the morning. I asked how work had gone, and she gave me a kind of non-committal answer about her boss pushing her too much and being stressed out. There's nothing huge there, but she just seemed off. I really couldn't put my finger on it. We were still acting all lovey-dovey, but something just felt wrong. And I couldn't talk about it without repeating the same conversation we had Sunday. I've been trying to throw myself into work to distract myself, but I haven't been able to focus. We have a joint checking account that we'll sometimes move money in and out of, but we really only use it for groceries or household items unless we talk about it beforehand. This morning, she moved half of it to hers, about $1,700. We don't do that. She's never needed to before. And I checked our healthcare portal, and she made the appointment for the one-time Thursday that I mentioned I was busy working on site. We were supposed to go together. I'm starting to go crazy. How do I bring this up in a way that isn't just having the same conversation again? I'm looking into getting a second opinion for myself, but I need a litmus test from objective outsiders to know if I'm really losing it or if this seems weird to someone else. There is a paternity test called non-invasive prenatal paternity, NIPP, that can check paternity before the baby is born. It includes taking your wife's blood. Fetal DNA can be separated and tested, and your blood. She can get her blood taken first, and then you could go a little later. You don't have to have it done at the same time. I only thought of this because it cost around $1,700 to get it done. This is what I thought of, that they could get the NIPP test now, and maybe she moved the money for the test. But it's suspicious she's not telling him and booking an appointment without his involvement. It's stacking up against her favor. You got any sick time? Call in sick on the day of the appointment and go anyway. She technically already kinda agreed to go together, so make it so. She can't argue with that. I wouldn't want to surprise her, but I think I might wait until she's home and mention I can take off and see what she says. Solid plan. Honestly, I hope it ends up just being a misunderstanding for your sake, but it's better to be sure, and it's not as though you're being unreasonable. Thank you. I'm trying to get all my uncertainty out here to make sure I don't act just on fear. I'm a little uneasy about how popular the post got though, even though she rarely uses Reddit. I'll probably have to take this down eventually. Second update. I've been trying to center myself. We talked calmly for a bit on the phone. She claimed she moved the money out in anticipation of the deductible payments she'll have with different visits. I didn't bring up anything else, but she seemed a little impatient with me, probably rightly so, and implied we'd have a longer talk when she gets home. I'm just trying not to overreact right now. I don't know what to think. This is either a misunderstanding on my side and I'm a father, or not. Thankfully, she's not working late today. Thank you to those who are trying to keep me grounded. Third update. I went for a long run to clear my mind. Got a shower and then my wife should be home. I'm going to go into the conversation with no judgment, just objectively lay out the facts and why I've still been struggling personally with some of them. Regardless of what happens, I'm done with any confusion left between us. Thanks to those who messaged me and gave advice. Now for the last update. I'm sorry to drag y'all through the worst of my insecurities. I definitely channeled quite a bit of my negative stuff into what I posted. But hey, that's what anonymous people are good for sometimes, I guess. Anyway, we finally sat down after she got home last night. I told her everything that was going on, the urologist, the money, the upcoming appointment. I told her how, even with all her reassurances, too many suspect things kept happening. She agreed with how everything looked and immediately apologized. She didn't realize how much my last ex's cheating was still affecting me. She knew I was off going into the weekend, but thought we had addressed that. We talked about it Sunday, but I can get pretty internal with all these worries and not show them outwardly. And so, while she thought we were communicating, I wasn't. We decided to start from the beginning and go through everything together. The money was the real problem for me. She agreed it was inconsiderate, given where my head was at, to do that without mentioning it. Apparently, the prenatal visits are so structured that they want you to set up a payment plan with them right away, and she wanted to make sure it was squared away to keep the appointment. She offered, without me prompting, to call them with me tomorrow to verify that, or, if I really wanted, we could move the money back. She does get better rewards out of her account, so it kind of made sense. We read up on obstructive azoospermia, and it doesn't seem like they're often invincible force fields. It seems like only the actual absence of the vas deferens, CBAVD, guarantees complete infertility, so it is possible for some sperm to get through. We're going to go back to the original specialist I was working with last year and hopefully get a clearer picture. It turns out the appointment she made was the only time they had available so soon, and she figured it'd be best not to wait. I told her I took off work to go with her, and she was relieved I could join. Once again, she said all the right things and seems genuine about getting us on the same page. After going through each thing, I was just wishing I believed her a little more before. She's stressed out with work and when she'll have to take off, but she really seemed to want to go out of her way to alleviate my concerns. She even offered an open phone policy if I needed it. We did look at the text I had seen, and it was just a girlfriend. I declined though, since I don't want to be that husband. This has really made me take a deeper look at my past and how it still affects me today. Even thinking back to this weekend, it was so hard to see in the moment how much all the uncertainty was affecting me. That level of anxiety literally makes you question what around you are real. I think trust but verify is the best way to put it. I was just trying to verify without any of the trust. This has all put a strain on our marriage, but I'm feeling a bit more like we're a team again working toward easing that. She thought that a nip ASAP was a great idea, as long as we also get some kind of counseling together. I'm not big on therapy, but I can probably agree that it will most likely help. I'm feeling a little better about everything. Thanks again to everyone who reached out and shared their own stories. Every other comment here I read was a story of a family member who was supposed to be barren and ended up popping out triplets. And most of all, to those who helped me try to communicate fairly through all of this. It's time for me to hopefully be a father. Edit/update. The paternity test came back initially positive for anyone who's going to see this. It's excellent that your wife was able to not be defensive and to identify with your jilted and wounded perspective to see how things could be negatively interpreted by you. Speaking for the whole internet here, we wish you and your new family the best and that you continue down your healing road. Yeah, it takes a special kind of person to be this understanding when they've done nothing wrong, especially while pregnant. OP is a lucky man. I'm glad it worked out. All I can suggest at this point is to remember that you're not the only person who went through a traumatic event here. Your wife did as well. She realized her husband does not fully trust her, regardless of whether it's within your control or not. Please keep the lines of communication open with her and spend time together to rebuild that trust for both of you. Last story. Told my in-laws we're getting divorced because my wife cheated on me since they thought I was leaving her because of her weight. I, 35 male, thought I was getting everything I ever wanted with my wife, 35 female, when we were in our late 20s. I truly love her, both when she was thin and now that she's plus-sized. She became plus-sized during her pregnancy, and I was still hot for her. But she hated her new body and felt ugly despite all my compliments. Over the years, she gained more weight and felt worse about herself. More recently, she cheated on me. She had felt so low about herself that she wanted to see if men who didn't have to love her would find her sexy. I didn't have to love her because we have a child together. I love her because she's her. We're getting a divorce, and I wanted the process to be peaceful. But my in-laws, especially my mother-in-law, 57 female, were giving me hell because they thought I was this shallow jerk who was leaving his wife because she gained weight during pregnancy. I was confronted by her parents again, and I told them the truth. Now my in-laws are giving my wife hell, and she's miserable. I don't want her to be miserable. I just wanted my in-laws off my case. No, you are not the a-hole. Your wife is, though. She lied to her parents about why the marriage ended. Instead of getting the therapy she obviously needs, she chose to cheat. She cheated and then lied about it. You're allowed to correct the record. Given how my wife's self-esteem is so low, she may honestly believe that's why we're getting divorced. She's so convinced that I'm not attracted to her anymore and that I had fallen out of love with her. No amount of evidence has been able to convince her otherwise. She lied to them to make you the bad guy. She needs help. I also gained a lot of weight over the years, pregnancy and then an injury making me permanently disabled. I gave my significant other every opportunity to leave. I was miserable. I am not trying to one-up or compare miseries, different bodies, different experiences. What she did was inexcusable. She hurt you, betrayed you, and then tried to blame you so she didn't have to take accountability. You 100% did the right thing by telling them. However, if you can, tell them to get her some help and support and not beat her further into the ground. She dug herself a hole. They don't need to bring in a backhoe. You don't have to, obviously. Anger or rage is absolutely valid. Some of us can dig our way out, some can't. I wish you healing, sir. Growing up and during early adulthood, she was the prettiest girl. I think she had placed so much stock in that. She has a narrow view of how she needs to look to be pretty. The change in her looks really affected her mentally.